the transformers repository.
That's great. And talking about MOEs in particular, now that you're writing this blog post, maybe you can give us a quick sneak peek or a quick introduction to MOEs and tell us what they are and why they're so important.
Okay, so a mixture of expert is a term that has been around quite some time. If I'm not wrong, it was Shazid et al. Who kind of made it huge back in 2018, 19. Please do write in the comments if I'm wrong. So that's one. What that means is if you have a dense architecture, you can sparse it out. You have now subsets of parameters out of the dense architecture, and you can sparsely activate it, which makes it very interesting because now the entire architecture does not have to get activated for generating of tokens. You just have certain experts which activate that. Is huge for efficiency, that is huge for inference speeds, and so on. So with this, what I'm also trying to come to is this is a whole new paradigm. With transformers, there are a bunch of downstream applications that use transformers as backend. So vLLM uses transformers as backend, SGLang, Llama CPP, and so on. If we make MOEs the first-class citizens of transformers, you see that all the downstream applications kind of use our backend, which is already there, already good. And how can you make sense of all the efficiencies that we have in transformers? So kind of the whole bunch.
Okay, and when was the first time that MOEs started to become this mainstream and this popular in the industry?
For me, it was DeepSeek, which was, hey, we need to watch out. What is this happening? And that is how I also see the first time there where the closed models and the open models, the gap between the open and closed models kind of went down, and people really took notice of this entire new paradigm, and things just blew out from there.
So that was with DeepSeek. And also, I'm thinking about Mixtral, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably that was also one of the first times that I heard about MOEs being like talked about everywhere too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was different that they tried at the time? Like, why was it different? Why did it become so popular just all of a sudden?
If you talk about Mixtral, that is the first time that people really took notice of MOEs in general. It was just that the sheer amount of parameters that Mixtral had, and how easy it was to kind of run inference, and also talk about the efficiencies that related to a big model, but not that big. So when we talk about mixture of experts, we essentially talk about how huge the model is, but also talk about how little activations that are there in MOEs. So if you have, say, 1 trillion parameters, it'll probably activate like 20% every time a token is generated. So that kind of blew people's mind, as in we need a very small activation space rather than a huge model.
Right. And that was probably the
tipping point.
The tipping point, the shift. Okay.
Maybe.
What are the most popular MOE models that we currently have?
Past week we had Quen, we had Minimax, we had ZAI, we had Moonshot, and everybody was kind of giving us very, very good MOE models. So there's a bunch. I just spelled like it was on the top of my head because I'm currently writing it, but there are a bunch of good MOE models in the hub, open. People can just go in, use it, or use our inference providers to get the generations.
Right. And do you think like this is it, at least for a while, the MOEs, or are we looking at a new architecture that is maybe gaining traction or that is becoming more popular in the recent times?
I think okay, so this is a hot take from him. So it's not it, but definitely a good, a refreshing kind of a scene that we are probably seeing inside of the LLMs world. It's very difficult to train MOEs is what we understand. We also have collaborated recently with Unsloth, who has, given us great kernels, great efficiencies with training. So that's good. But I also see that a lot of people in their open works not only talk about how the model is good, but also talk about how it was trained, which is very important at this point in time to really train huge models. It's huge models anyway. So it's definitely here to stay for a bit.
Awesome. Okay. So good to hear that.